let's take a look at another early Capcom action game. And it's easily one of their lesser known titles in their catalog of stuff around this time. Can't blame anyone if it got past them because when it came out in March of 2003, Mega Man Zero 2 was releasing in the next 2 months, Beautiful Joe was coming out that summer, product number 3 actually came out the same month as Legion, a Maximo sequel was on its way too, and the following year or two we would get DMC3 and RE4. And it's not like people weren't playing all the timeless classics that came out before then too, right? So Capcom fans had a lot to play, and their insane output wasn't stopping anytime soon. We were getting entirely new IPs and some standout sequels all at once. Wish they still did this, but yeah, you can see why Chaos Legion got lost in the shuffle. Which makes sense why I haven't heard much of anything on this because of that. I just know about the whole summoner playstyle with those legions, and that's it really. Let's see for ourselves then if there's something worth finding, or if it should have stayed hidden. This is Combat Overview. Here we go over the general controls, the main mechanics, who or what we use them on, and then seeing how it all comes together. Got ourselves a little combo, and that's pretty much it. No delays or directional attacks, pretty straightforward stuff. And we don't get much of any new moves for ourselves either, and that's because all the power and utility is left to those legions entirely. So if you feel underpowered and weak, it's kinda by design so you can rely on legions to do everything. Onto defenses, there's no guard. I guess those it's like DMC comparisons aren't far off, I guess. Well, we can jump away from enemy attacks, but there's no iframes on it. Once you're locked on, your jump becomes a roll, so okay, that's similar to DMC, right? You can even use these to cancel end lag too, but that won't be necessary. There's counter clash parries in a way. You'll do extra damage when attacking enemies during specific windows, and similar to Onimusha, you'll be given extra XP for doing this. But with how these encounters are set up in this game, it's definitely not built to have any sort of methodical gameplay. Just a whole lot of mashing and large crowds. Looking at the HUD, we have our health and soul gauge. Like I said, there's no upgrades to buy for ourselves, so the only way you'll be able to get anything close to it are from item pickups. Just walk to them and they'll instantly apply these permanent buffs. But yeah, that soul meter is how we get to use our legions. Costs a full bar to use their unique assist attack. And some have iframes, which is nice. Now if you press L1, you'll summon those legions to your side. Their assist would now be this force attack instead, which can be done on command and takes no meter to do. They'll stay active as long as you want, doesn't drain or anything as they're out and about, but your attacks will deal even less damage now, and you can't run either. So there's some trade-off to call them. Just don't let them take a hit because that'll cut into your soul meter, and if emptied, they'll break, which means you can't call on them for a while until you fill that soul meter enough by attacking enemies on your own. You can change their AI to either go on the defense or offense, but doesn't really help too much. Now you can swap between your legions on the fly, but you only get to take 2 at a time with you, which really makes it rough to use the other legions. And it doesn't help that the amount of XP needed to level anything reaches those insane berserk numbers, goes into the millions. Because of that, I stuck with the first 2 legions since it's just way too punishing to start from scratch again, unless you want to mindlessly grind. The only highlight I'll say is Hatred. Has unique animations against every enemy by the looks of it. Do some sort of grappler or wrestling moves on them. I would have liked to try it more or any of the others, just wish it wasn't so tedious to level them up. When it comes to enemies, I'm not gonna bother with them. I keep hinting at it, but the enemies in this game are just not fun to fight. You'll see the same 3 or so enemies majority of the time. Again, there's nothing to say since they're way too simple, and they just toss hordes of them at you, so get to mashing. Well, there is one enemy I should point out though. So there's going to be these things that'll constantly spawn enemies. They do stop after you kill a certain amount of the minions, but I just rather not deal with them longer than I need to since they're so boring to fight. What makes things even worse though, they kind of want you to fight them from afar because once you get close enough, they'll drop in even more enemies on top of the ones they already spawned in. So the best bet is just to sit back and fire away. You're going to see them quite a lot too, so get used to it. Also, there'll be rooms where they give you a high target enemy, and yeah, as you can tell, they're just as simple as every other enemy. so just bully them for free. And similar to those spawners, you want to deal with these high targets as soon as possible because killing them will instantly clear the room of all the other filler enemies. So you're constantly thinking if you want to fight a lot of nothing enemies, or should you focus the only one that's required to hurry things up along because combat is just that boring and unsatisfying. I'm sure you can guess which one I went for. Bosses aren't any better either. We get a tutorial boss to steamroll. Next we fight this boss that doesn't really do much, and the game knows it's bare bones, so let's toss back-to-back waves of them. I think there's a total of 5 or 6 we have to fight back-to-back in groups. Yeah, they also toss in extra enemies to make it more interesting, I guess. Yeah, this is the perfect example on how the game builds all of its encounters. Everything we fight is so undercooked, so let's just add more and more of them all at once to make up for what they lack. Surprisingly, the last few fights on the final stage aren't half bad. Okay, we're not done yet because, yeah, there's a lot of things you'll notice real quick. For one, they toss multiple enemies on screen, reaching Muso territory. Now, even though they're extremely simple, don't let them hit you once because you'll lose a chunk of your health dying in like 3 hits. Now that in and itself isn't a bad thing, but here's the kicker. Every enemy, both big and small, are extremely tanky damage sponges too. So not only are they a pain to kill, they dish out way too much damage for what they are. If you ever played Yaiba, which I do not recommend, has the same issue. Even DMC3's DMD too, right? But yeah, it's the best comparison out there in how they'll just toss hordes of enemies at you who have way too many numbers attached to them. You know, this actually brings up an important aspect that Chaos Legion unfortunately overlooked, and that's time to kill. If it's way too long, we get Yaiba, where everything's a hassle to deal with. But if you find that right balance, we get Ninja Gaiden 2, for example. That's why its large crowds work. Well, for starters, there are no pushovers, but just like you, your enemies are just as fragile. So both sides are on equal footing to create this back and forth, raid your edge, kill or be killed gameplay where every move either one of you make needs to be done with precision. Because if not, it just might be your last. See, that's what makes Ninja Gaiden's large crowds so fun to interact with. Even Kingdom Hearts 2 knew this in balanced critical mode in a similar way. You're made pretty squishy in that difficulty, but you're given a solid damage buff, along with some extra starter abilities to even the playing field. So with these extra goodies, we can take out enemies as fast or even faster than before, which means every action we make is rewarded. And it doesn't come off as hitting brick walls with pool noodles, you know. So this high risk, high reward approach to make you a glass cannon only works when the enemies follow the same rules. But Chaos Legion doesn't do any of this. It does the complete opposite actually. Because come to find out, the classic overtuning happened yet again. So our US release is a ramped up version that just inflates numbers to make it irritating more than anything. So instead of making this carefully handcrafted difficulty curve, they had a smart idea to nerf you into the ground while raising the numbers on everything else in the game. So enemies have way too much health, extra defense, deal more damage than intended, and let's make the game more grindy while we're at it too, raising the XP requirements. Now, since you're so underpowered, we really have to rely on those legions. Especially the new added metallic or organic attribute that apparently wasn't there originally. Because if not, we'll do chip damage, which kind of forces our hand to use our hard counters, but this doesn't last too long either because our legions also get shredded in 1 or 2 hits. So enemies deal way too much damage, bloated health pools, you really can't damage them yourself, only a select few legions can make a dent into that health of theirs, but they're just as vulnerable as you or even more, so they'll be locked out for a long time, leaving you high and dry to deal with this mess all by yourself. It just makes for a miserable time. And you want to know what else I found out when looking into this? Even Onimusha Dawn of Dreams had all of its numbers bumped up against you too. So it's no wonder why it felt so grindy, and every enemy felt like damage sponges. Because that's exactly what happened. I already don't like the game as it is, but this just makes me like it even less now. So yeah, I guess to make up for a poorly designed game having simple enemies, they let numbers do all the work instead. And all we do is just walk into arena, fight basic enemies, back into hallways, and back into another arena. To do it all over again to fight the same stuff until we reach the boss. This doesn't help the game feel any less stale to play than it already is. Like I said before, only the upper echelon of our genre can get away with that, since they have amazing combat mechanics and layered enemies to interact with you. But this game has none of that. Enemies are extremely bare bones, and 90% of the bosses are lackluster. It's just very repetitive, monotonous, and bland overall. And that's Chaos Legion. What more can I say other than I just don't care for this game? Enemy and boss variety is extremely lacking. It tries its best to use concepts we've seen in Onimusha and DMC, with class pairs and critical weak points, but the enemies are just way too simple, so it's never worth taking advantage of those mechanics. It doesn't help just how many enemies they drop on top of you with little to no thought. Plus they inflated everyone's health and nerfed your damage output across the board, making for a very unsatisfying combat loop. And that's all it has to offer with this combat. It's hallway, arena. There's just no variety. In general, nothing seems to have any actual thought put into its design. Can imagine the band-aid fix to blow everything didn't make this feel any less awful to play either. I will say, it does have a really standout aesthetic, and the summon mechanic is neat on paper, but they made it very annoying to enjoy. So if you want to check it out for yourself, either play on easy since it's horribly balanced and overtuned, or try to look at the intended Japanese version if possible, which as we read, is extremely easy. So I'm sure it'll still be the same Muso-like gameplay, making for a mind-numbing experience. Yeah, I'm glad Capcom forgot about this one, and so should you.